That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Culture Shock Podcast. I'm yours truly, Culture Shock. We are here to discuss the Week 5 victory where the Indianapolis Colts ran amok, a beating on the Las Vegas Raiders. The score was 6-40. The Colts looked darn near unstoppable the whole game. Other than that opening drive, I would say the Colts put on a very phenomenal performance, honestly. And it could have been even better. There was a lot of plays, of course, like the Ashton Doolin touchdown that rings my mind that could have been extra points, but due to penalties, whenever the Colts have a big play, a flag just brings it back every time, and it's been going on for a few weeks now. But that did not stop the Colts from doing what they needed to do, which was going out there and playing good football. And that's what they did. They put on a good performance today, and this was a much needed victory for the Colts. They went out there, they performed, they did their thing, and they everybody exceeded each level of football. In my preview video, before I get into it, I want to say appreciate all the support. Follow me on all platforms. Appreciate that 100%. But like I was saying in my preview video, I mentioned the Colts trying to get Jonathan Taylor involved in this game and being aggressive, not playing conservative football against this team like the Raiders, who still don't know which direction they want to go into. They're a young team. They're led by Pete Carroll and Geno Smith. The direction of the team is unknown right now. What they want to do. So it was good to take advantage of that, and it showed today. Geno Smith just could not be on sync with his receivers. His offensive line was banged up, so he couldn't get in sync with them as well. But the Colts wound up playing all four levels of good football. All four quarters, they played good football, man. And they pretty much held the team scoreless. There was multiple times where um, the Raiders could have scored, but the defense just wound up waking up and stopping them and holding them to three. Now, of course, granted, going into this game, we did wind up losing some talent. Spencer Schrader, our kicker, wound up, I feel like he got taken out on purpose. I feel like there was nothing but intentions in that because the play prior, their punter got his punt blocked and he got hurt, got put on a cart. But it was a clean hit. So, it was nothing, that Alubi did that was, like intended. I mean, he blocked the ball, all ball, and just wound up hitting the kicker after that. Well, hitting the punter after that. So I guess the Raiders, McCullum, I'm calling him out personally. I feel like, of course, you have momentum. I don't want to put the blame game on him, but by the looks of it, after everything happened, during the game, I felt like it was intended to take out our kicker, Spencer Schrader, who's been having a phenomenal year. And we don't know what's going to look like going into next week into the future. Shane Steichen said it doesn't look good. So that's not a good look for one of the best kickers in the game right now to go out with an injury. It got so bad that they didn't even want Rigoberto to take field goals. So we don't know what the future may hold for the kicking situation for the Indianapolis Colts, but prayers to both the punter for the Raiders and Spencer Schrader. Hopefully they get a full recovery and come back to playing the game that they love, football. But other than that, with no kicker at all, the Colts still found a way to wind up putting up 40 points on the Raiders. The second quarter and the third quarter was the most explosive, and they wound up playing conservative in the fourth. They tried to get in the end zone as much as they could, but it is what it is at the end of the day. But like I said, at the end of the day, the Colts played a phenomenal game. Starting off with that Alubi bump punt block, which was amazing. Ashton Doolin stepped on the scene, ran back to kick. The crowd was roaring, but Joe Bacci had the worst game, I would say, this year. This game, he just was not there. Special teams wise, he brought Doolin's return back. Um, and then on the field in general, like he's clipping players. I don't know what he was going on today. I don't know what was going on with Javachi today, but I said this was his worst performance. And a lot of fans was asking for Anthony Walker Jr. to be, called up and actually be put on the roster. Even though we knew the weak side linebacker spot was one of the weakest spots on the field, that got to be a question at hand. What's next for that situation? The weak side linebacker is going to continue to be, the weak side on purpose. They have to figure that out. Joe Bacci, I feel like he is not the answer for that moving forward. Of course, it's only one game, so you can't really overdo it. But just due to his performance today, I don't think it's going to get any better. He's a good special teams player. But giving him that predominant role at the weak side linebacker position could be a big task. I mean, of course, he knows what to do with Lou Anarumo and his scheming out there, but today was just one of those things where it's like, this could be repetitive and continue to happen moving forward. So you might want to nip it in the bud when you got the chance, and hopefully they can make something happen. It's early in the season still. Still a lot of talent out there. There's a few players you can call up and just see what you can do from there. Because when you're on this win streak with this record, you want to try to be nearly as perfect as possible. And another thing with a good record like this, with the Colts in the situation that they're in right now, is that you want to try to fill those voids before it gets too late. Of course, you're playing good football, but you want to keep it that way. Of course, you're going to battle injuries and things like that, but it's next man up. So you got to have the best person available for this situation. Speaking of that situation, the Colts lost Mike Hilton today with a shoulder injury, and Chris Lamons came in and played beautiful football. Guy called up from the practice squad 24 hours in advance. This is his first game today, and he played exceptional football. He really did. So that's another situation that the Colts have to target and aim for going into this week, is with the whole Chris Lamont situation and Mike Hilton getting injured. Jalen Jones is on his road to recovery. He'll be back soon, but it's what is next for this nickel position. You just lost another one. Who else are you going to call up? Chris Lamont's played good football, but I mean that's not his premier spot. So you still got to make a move roster wise. So we'll be on the specs of that and see what's going to happen. That's going to be interesting moving forward to see what they're going to do next with that, with the nickel position. But back to the game of football, Daniel Jones had another exceptional game. Pretty good football. A few passes did sail. Didn't commit no turnovers, but a few balls did sail where they could have been, beautiful passes. Just airmailed a few balls. But other than that, he played a really solid football game. A lot of spiral throws, a lot of passes where we didn't think it was going to get there, like the touchdown of Michael Pittman Jr., a beauty. Even the pass to Josh Downs, which just threaded the needle to only where he can get it, right past Devin White. Beautiful throw from Daniel Jones. Just a good ball. Man, he's been playing good football. Like I said, we were going to see, it was going to be interesting to see how Daniel Jones came into this game after last week. How is he going to come out this week? And he played good football, man. The picks, the turnovers last week, like I said, it wasn't really nothing that he did out of his range. It was just, like some throwing balls, just threw some balls. Like the first one was a go route to A.D. Mitchell last week. And then the last one was, just to get the ball downfield. It didn't mess with him mentally. He stayed locked in, composed, and played good football this week against the Raiders. And that's all you can ask for. He's a good game manager. He dialed up the Raiders defense. Max Crosby had a few plays where he was exploding. A few of his balls did get swatted down, just due to the aiming of the football. He threw it pretty low. But other than that, like I said, he played good football. Daniel Jones played good football, and that's all we asked for. We got to see Anthony Richardson today, just due to how good this team was playing. It was good to see him out there, but it makes you think. This is a hilarious experiment with Anthony Richardson and the X's. It's like this could have been the whole motive from the get-go. Daniel Jones, solid vet coming in, letting Richardson ride it out, not throwing him in the fire too early. Let him ride it out, and then when it's time, you put him out there. But, like I said, they jumped the gun with the experiment way too early, and this should have been the process from the beginning. Getting a solid vet out there at the beginning, not Joe Flacco, but a solid vet out there until Richardson's fully ready, learn the system, learn the game because he's young, and then you put him out there when you feel like it's time. But, it is what it is. Everything happens for a reason. It's going to be interesting to see what they do at the end of this year, though. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be super interesting to see what they're going to do at the end of the year with this contract situation and everything. It's going to be interesting. But like I said, nevertheless, Daniel Jones has played good football today, and that's all we asked for. Managed the game, hit the players in stride. Jonathan Taylor was a guy that I aimed to have a big game today. Get him involved. The run game was not there this week, but they still got it involved when they got the second half adjustment. Finding Jonathan Taylor on the outside runs or maybe in the middle, just staying away from Max Crosby's direction because he's pretty much being a disruptor this week. But, just running away from the opposite sides for where the protection was. Just letting Big Q got him down the field. Big Q was just being himself. And Jonathan Taylor was able to play some good football today. Another dominant week from the best running back in football. The coach said it. I said it. A lot of people think that Jonathan Taylor is at he's in one of those modes, man, where he's just unstoppable. He's been playing exceptional football all year, and it's good to see. 3 touchdowns this week for Jonathan Taylor rushing. It was beautiful to see, man. He's been playing good football. Josh Downs was a guy I said that's going to have himself a good week. With the whole Eddie Mitchell situation and Alex Pierce being out, I expected Josh Downs to be that guy. And he had a lot of good reps this week, man, and just able to move the chains every time he gets the ball, man. He's just so good at the game. And it's just crazy to see how we have so many targets and how so many people can get just caught missing inside the game plan and in the scheme. Josh Downs showed you today that he's still available whenever you need him. Just find him. It's that simple. Just find him, man. Daniel Jones is finding him, man. He's played some good ball. Credit to Josh Downs for playing some good football, man. He couldn't get in the end zone, but all of his reps was really good reps, man. Solid game for him. Ashton Doolin, another guy, like I said, he was all over the field, special teams and receiver. We knew going into this game, Aiden Mitchell, with the situation from last week, that he was probably going to be on the snap count, but he didn't play at all towards the end of the game with Anthony Richardson. But other than that, he was not playing. But Ashton Doolin is a solid receiver. The Colts fans know that already. So him jumping into the game was no question at all. A lot of people wanted him just due to run blocking. A lot of people wanted Andy Mitchell to be in the game, but today showed that you really didn't need him. You really didn't need him, and that just goes with the disciplinary action from last week, which is totally fine because Colts is going to do that regardless. They did it last year, and they did it this year again. But today just showed you really didn't need him. It's going to be amazing to see when he comes back full strength. He's ready. I know Eddie Mitchell's going to go out there and have a revenge game. It's going to be locked in. But Ashton Doolin had himself 2 good reps. Could have had a return touchdown, but that got pushed back due to Joe Bacci. But he had a good game. Michael Pittman Jr., another good game for him. Really needed him. Tyler Warren, another exceptional game from him. But besides him throwing that ball like he is back at Penn State with the left hand, which was hilarious to me. You've seen a lot of tricks come out the bag today with the Colts offense because they had a chance to do something. They had a chance to create just due to the lead. They were just trying stuff, especially with no kicker. So they was trying a few things out there. I know the film guys are going to go out there and mention those plays on social media. Just check those out. But Tyler Warren had an exceptional game. He got the end zone, which is always amazing to see. I was mentioning on the stream how back in the day, maybe last year or a year ago, I always wanted Jonathan Taylor to get in the end zone. But once we get down there in that territory to score, I need Tyler Warren to get that ball. I need Tyler Warren to get that ball, man. But regardless, Jonathan Taylor got in there, unstoppable every time. Tyler Warren got in there at least once, and that was at the beginning of the game, and that was totally fine with me. Totally fine with me. There was a play even with the scheme drawing up the creativity. They had Bernard Ryman lining up, trying to catch the ball. I was like, excuse me? Now, the Raiders seen it coming, which was wild. How? I don't know. But they seen it coming. But seeing him, Bernard Ryman lined up, was just hilarious to me. But other than that, Bernard Ryman had a pretty decent game this week. The other side of the football was the ones that was pretty much giving fits. Braden Smith couldn't really figure it out. He was having fits today against the Raiders. He was having a lot of fits. It was interesting to see how that worked out. He was struggling. Shout out. We're going to transition over to the decent before I start shouting people out. Give a shout out to Mekhi Blackman. Mekhi Blackman caught a pick today. Could have been a pick 6, but he stepped out of bounds. Beautiful play from Mekhi Blackman. Stepped up today, which was needed, due to all the injuries and things. He had a huge step up today, man. So shout out to Mekhi Blackman. Guarding my guy Trey Tucker. Speed versus speed. 2 fast guys guard each other. Interesting matchup. Mekhi Blackman won a few reps. Trey won a few reps. Trey Tucker had a pretty decent game. DeForest Buckner was wreaking havoc all day. So did Grover Stewart. They were pretty much blocking up everything with Genty. Genty could not get off, man. Besides the mesh rail at the beginning of the game on the wheel route with Ashton Genty when he got that big runoff, the big catch, I would say, the big receiving catch, Genty was pretty much bottled up. And that's what you expected from a team with a banged-up offensive line and, with the scheme that really couldn't figure it out. And Chip Kelly drew up some beautiful plays, I would say. He drew up some beautiful plays with Jacoby and everything, but that pretty much got dialed up. That got locked up pretty quickly with this Colts defense. Lou Anarumo said, okay, it's enough. He was sending heat. Nick Cross was coming off of there. off of that edge. Lamont, I've seen blitz a few times. Zaire had himself a good day. Um, yeah, so Zaire had a good day as well. Never Gallimore, Travarius Ward was locking up out there as expected, going up against the best receiver on their team. Jack Beck, which was a Senior Bowl standout from TCU, he had a pretty good day for the Raiders, I would say. He had a solid day. Trey Tucker had a pretty decent day, too, so I'll give credit where credit's due. Jack Beck was available when he was needed for the Raiders, and Geno Smith just could not get the ball off, man. He was struggling all day against this Colts defense. Like I said, more so it was a lot of miscommunication on the Raiders side, but a lot of that credit goes to the Colts defense. Latu had a pick today, which was beautiful after the Grover Stewart swat. Oh man, it's always good seeing a guy like Latu catch an interception because a D lineman catching a pick is always hilarious. Dropping him in coverage is crazy, but him having hands is even crazier. Like he was just ready to catch the ball. So shout out to Latu and Grover Stewart with the swat, man. That D line had a good day today. Tyquan Lewis got a sack today. That was good to see. Jonathan Edwards had a good rep out there. It was good to see Jonathan out there. It was a guy who I expected to have a lot more reps due to all the injuries in secondary. Still a pretty decent, quiet game from Cam Bynum, but he assisted a few tackles. Amir Abdullah was a guy that used to play for the Raiders, wound up getting signed to the Colts earlier in this week, and he wound up getting a touchdown against his former team, which was a beautiful sight to see. Always funny to see former players score against their teams their new teams. Being on new teams and scoring against their former teams is always a funny thing to see. But other than that, like I said, this team was pretty much locked in this whole game, man. Special teams was on fire today as well. Shout out to Rigoberto Sanchez for trying to be available when he could. But we got to keep this train going. It's going to be interesting moving forward to see what the Colts do with these injuries, man. Who they sign, who they call up. I'm expecting Anthony Walker Jr. to get called up to this roster as soon as possible. I'm sure he will make a contribution. I'm sure he will. A lot of Colts fans think the same way, man. But it's going to be interesting to see what they do moving forward with this team. But they play good football today. 40-6 is always a beautiful day to see a Colts victory. A peaceful week. We can relax, be calm. But like I said, when you have a good record like this, you have a huge target on your back. So these teams are going to try to attack you, and you just got to be ready. Got to be prepared for these type of battles. The Colts are war ready. They played good football all week. They honored Shaquille Leonard at the beginning of the game. He hit the anvil. It was a beautiful thing to see him in the building with the speech and everything. Zaire paid tribute to him when he got the sack. They played good football today, man. It was just ultimate beautiful Sunday of football. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section, how you felt about the game, which sides of the ball, which stood out the most, who was your go-to guys this game, and let me know how do you feel about the Colts moving forward. All these things in the comment section. Let me know. Follow me on all platforms. Again, appreciate you guys. This is Culture Shock, and until next time, go Colts and stay safe.